Natural love is conditional. If you love me, I will love you. If you do good to me, I will do good to you. But divine love is not that way. The Lord said, you've heard that it's been said that you should love your neighbors, but you should hate your enemies. Now, there's every reason for you to hate your enemies, because your enemies don't wish you good. There is no enemy that wishes you good. Your enemy wants you dead. Your enemy wants you poor. Your enemy wants you defeated. Your enemy wants you to remain in a position where you feel so much pains and suffering. That's what your enemy wants. If somebody curses you, say you are evil, you are this, what is your natural reaction? Your natural reaction is to do what? Back to sender. You see how pastors have turned the scriptures around, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your mama, you say back to sender. What did you just do? Tell me what you just did. Your mama too. That you just did. Now that's the natural reaction. Pastors change it. Pastors who don't know the scriptures, who are still dwelling in the Old Testament, they tell you should say back to sender. Say back to sender. That's not what the Lord said. Jesus came to change the norm. He came to change the status quo, what has been in vogue, the way people have lived their life in the past, the way people had interacted with one another. He came to change it. He said, you have heard, this is how you've been living in the past. If somebody places a curse on you, you should respond with another, with even a greater curse. At times, you see somebody say, waka. You now use your two hands. Use your two hands, shake it. And then he does his own. You use both your two hands and your legs. Take it. Now guess what? That is the natural reaction. But you know what? That is not the reaction of a godly man. That's not the reaction of a believer. That should not be your reaction. If that is still your reaction, you are still the Old Testament. You are still living with the spirit of the Old Testament, or you are still living in the spirit of the Old Testament. That is not supposed to be the reaction of a man who is in Christ. The Bible says, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creation. Listen, if you are in Christ, you're supposed to be a new creature. Everything about you is supposed to be new. You must be intentional about the way you live your life. You've got to be intentional the way you interact with people. Everything about you should be new. If any man be in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things have passed away.